We are so close to the All-Star break, I can literally taste it in my mouth. And it just so happens that the two best teams in baseball lie in the AL, the Houston Astros and the New York Yankees. And you can put those teams on top of each other or underneath each other or arrange them how you'd like. Any answer is the right answer. And it's just so fitting that these two teams meet up in the second series right after the All-Star game for a 2-game stretch at Minute Maid Park. A series that could go a very long way in deciding who is the number 1 seed and the number 2 seed in the American League playoff standings. The Houston Astros, who have absolutely dominated the New York Yankees this year. That record against them is 3-2, but do not let it fool you. Houston Astros fans and Yankee fans as well know that could be very well a 5-0 record against the Yankees. The Astros, who have dominated the 43 out of 45 innings that they've played against the Yankees in 5 games, held them hitless in 1 game and went a stretch of 16 in the 3rd innings of no-hit baseball against the Yankees. And on top of all that, beating the Yankees with their C team, missing a third of their lineup with Yordan Alvarez, Jeremy Pena, and Michael Brantley out that last game versus the Yankees that they played, beating them. And before any Yankees fans rebuttal against me and go, well, the Astros threw 16 in the 3rd innings hitless and still lost 2 games, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question. What is easier to correct? Is it easier to correct a good closer having a bad series against a good lineup, or a good lineup getting absolutely shut down by a great pitching staff, by a great starting rotation? Which one is easier to correct? Which one is easier to fix? You tell me your answer, and that's your answer to yourself. Look, I don't like to say home field advantage in the playoffs, especially in baseball, means much because it's been shown in the past many times that it doesn't mean anything. But for the New York Yankees, it's very imperative that they win either one or both games against the Houston Astros in this upcoming series right after the All-Star break. Look, every team has that one team on their schedule that they look at and they say, we gotta play these guys? Man, come on. Anybody that's ever played any sport understands that there's always that one team that in the back of your mind, you say, I do not want to play against them. They are such a pain in the rear end. For the New York Yankees, that team has become the Houston Astros in recent years. And for context, for the Houston Astros, that team apparently is the Seattle Mariners. Now, don't ask me why. I don't understand why the Astros struggle against the Seattle Mariners. They just do. But for the New York Yankees, for them to have to go to Minute Maid Park and play 4 games against the Houston Astros, who have their number and have had their number for quite some time, it's going to be a real test. It's going to be a real challenge for the New York Yankees in the playoffs if they do not get that number 1 seed. Now, we've seen the New York Yankees and how great of a team they've been this year. They've got off to a historic start, being compared to some of the greatest baseball teams of all time, record-wise and run differential-wise. We've seen the New York Yankees in their peak so far this year. Their offense peaking, their pitching rotation peaking, their bullpen peaking, and defensively peaking. They're phenomenal. They are just truly phenomenal. As an Astros fan, I have to tip my cap to them because they're a phenomenal team. They really are. But what's got to be scary for them and for a lot of other teams, and not just the AL, but the NL, is the fact that the only part of the Astros team that's even peaked this year, close to peaked, is the Houston Astros pitching rotation. And when they did peak, they are truly the best rotation in the league and the deepest in the league. The Astros starting offense, their bats, they haven't peaked yet. They've slowly progressed over the past 2 months in baseball, and they've become one of the top 12 to 10 offenses so far in the league. But what's scary is guys like Alex Bregman and Yuli Gurriel, and even center field, the Astros were not getting a lot of production from. Now Alex Bregman is starting to hit the ball and see it very well. Yuli Gurriel is finally starting to wake up, bringing his average up from 212 to 244 so far this year. And Jake Myers coming out and being put back into center field, replacing Chas McCormick and Jose Siri, they've got a lot of production from him so far. Even Martin Maldonado is giving the Astros a couple of big-time home runs here in the past few weeks. And like I said before, if the Astros offense starts to peak, if it starts to hit on all cylinders, it's going to be almost impossible to stop that team. We've seen how good the Houston Astros pitching rotation is. It's the best they've had in a very long time. And I'd put it up there even with the 2019 rotation. 2019 rotation had Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, and even Zach Greinke, but it was top heavy. Greinke, you didn't know what you were going to get from him. You know what you were going to get from Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, but in the bottom half of that rotation, they didn't have the depth that they have now. Back then, they didn't have Framber Valdez or Christian Javier or Luis Garcia pitching the way that they are pitching now. Sure, they had Jose Urquidy, but that was just about it. You now pair a phenomenal rotation in the Houston Astros with the great bullpen that they have so far this year, which they might add another piece to, I might add you, with an offense that starts to click on all cylinders and fire. Well, good luck to the rest of the teams in the AL. For the Yankees, it's got to be kind of frustrating because you go on a historically great run to start the season. You are compared to some of the greatest offensively gifted teams ever, and your pitching rotation is absolutely helping you out. Yet you're only 3.5 games up on the Houston Astros, who were struggling offensively mightily early in the season. Like I said, the Houston Astros are only 3.5 games back of the New York Yankees, even though they got off to such a historically great start. That's got to be truly frustrating for the New York Yankees to see all that work they put in just for the woeful Astros to be right behind them. But no matter who you're a fan of what team, you have to admit this little rivalry, budding rivalry, it's great for baseball. And it's been great for baseball. It brings in new viewers and retains old viewers, and it gets people excited about watching the game again. And personally, for me, I'm grateful that it's happening because it's finally time that we get another great rivalry in baseball after so long. And what an odd rivalry it is, huh? The Houston Astros in Houston, Texas, a team that was, for the most part, never really a threat ever in the NL. They move over to the AL, rebuild, and by 2015, they start being the team to beat. Versus the New York Yankees, who were the golden child, the poster boy of Major League Baseball for the past 100 years. What a odd rivalry, but a fun one to watch. Guys, I'd love to know what y'all think in the comment section down below about this series that's going to happen. Do y'all think that the Yankees need the first seed to make it past the Houston Astros in the playoffs? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And before I go, I need to say one thing. Thank you all so much for 1K subs and counting. That is truly unbelievable to me. I smile every day I wake up and I see that. It makes me a little emotional because that means I'm doing something right here. That means I'm doing something right on Solo Thought Sports, something that y'all are enjoying to watch me for, and I appreciate that. I always said my goal here on Solo Thought Sports is just to talk about baseball and help get people interested in the game and keep it growing because I love baseball. It's always been there for me in some of my darkest times of my life when I needed it the most, and I'm so grateful for the support and the growth on this channel, and I did not expect it, and like I said, thank y'all so much. But if y'all haven't already, go and like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new because I have more baseball content like this. And I'll see y'all in the next one Sunday. Be looking out for that video. Adios, mi amigos.
Hey, thank you for rocking out tonight. You could be anywhere in the world. You're right here. And I got my special guest, Taya Bali, man.
Yeah, we bringing this all from the Keystone State.